Mike McDaniel is officially interviewing for the Detroit Lions offensive coordinator job tomorrow, probably today when you're seeing this video. And this is big news. Now the Detroit Lions are going to have multiple other teams to fight for Mike McDaniel. And the other teams are offering head coaching jobs. And those teams are, according to Tom Pelissero, reported earlier today, the former Dolphins coach Mike McDaniel will interview this week for the Browns, Falcons, Titans, and Ravens for their head coaching jobs, per sources. McDaniel is also scheduled to interview for the Lions OC job. One of the NFL's top offensive minds is in high demand, which he most certainly is, obviously, because he's probably the best offensive coordinator or offensive mind on the market. Same with Cliff Kingsbury, in my opinion. And Ian Rappaport put out later today that Mike McDaniel will interview for the Lions OC job tomorrow, like I mentioned, a potential big fish for Dan Campbell. And I've been torn on this, whether this can be the best case scenario for the Detroit Lions when it comes to finding their next offensive coordinator. In my opinion, when I made my video about the Lions planning, or when they reached out to Mike McDaniel, I said I would still prefer Cliff Kingsbury. But I've been thinking about it over the past couple of days. And more I'm really thinking about it. I think Mike McDaniel might be the better fit. I don't know. He's a goofy guy, obviously, Mike McDaniel. Cliff Kingsbury is a little bit, I don't know what the word is to use, a little bit more, acts like more of a coach. I don't really know what the word is, but Mike McDaniel for the offensive scheme, I think that he might be the better move for the Detroit Lions between the two. I really do believe that. Cliff Kingsbury, and the reason why I say that is because Cliff Kingsbury has only worked with mobile quarterbacks for the most part throughout his coaching career, at least throughout these past 5 years or so. Kyler Murray in Arizona when he was the head coach for the Cardinals, and then obviously Jaden Daniel these past couple of years for the Washington Commanders as their OC. Now, granted, he has had to deal with quarterbacks like Marcus Mariota, Josh Johnson, Lions legend, by the way, and I can't remember who he had. He actually had David Blau for a little bit back in Arizona, I believe. I believe he was still the head coach. Maybe Jonathan Gannon was at that point, but I think he was still the head coach when David Blau was there. But particularly, he has worked with mobile running quarterbacks, and Jared Goff obviously is not that. Jared Goff is not that. He is not a mobile quarterback whatsoever. So the more and more I think about him, maybe Mike McDaniel is the better coach for the Detroit Lions between the two for their OC job. Mike McDaniel obviously has only really had Tua to work with. Tua is not a horrible quarterback by any means, but he is a bridge quarterback, I think is the best way to describe Tua. Doesn't make the smartest decisions. He could get you down the field, but he's not going to make the smartest decisions. He throws a lot of balls in double coverage, especially downfield for whatever reason. I still haven't really understood why he does that, but I mean, you watched his games for the past season. I can't tell you how many times he did that. He did it at least 3 or 4 times, I think, this past season, and he's done it multiple times in seasons prior. Tua Tagovailoa is I would say, a bridge quarterback at best at this point in his NFL career, and Mike McDaniel now will have Jared Goff to work with. Now, why I do believe that Mike McDaniel is also the better candidate potentially now is because Tua Tagovailoa, like I said, is a bridge quarterback, but also he's not that athletic. He's not the most athletic quarterback out there. Is he more athletic than Jared Goff? Absolutely. More mobile than Jared Goff? Absolutely. But he's not super athletic. And Mike McDaniel, you really see what he did with Miami back in, I want to say it was 2023. Maybe it was 2020. I think it was 2023 when he led the Dolphins to that whatever 11-6 record, whatever it was, led them to the playoffs. Tyreek Hill almost broke the single season record for most receiving yards. Obviously, had Raheem Mostert have the best year of his NFL career with 21, I believe it was 21 total touchdowns that season. And obviously, Tua played very well that year as well. So, Mike McDaniel has gotten a lot of good out of players who have necessarily not either been the best throughout their NFL career when it comes to Tua and Raheem Mostert, but also almost broke an NFL record for one of his players. And he is heavily involved in the passing game, but he's also heavily involved in the running game. This is something that we need as an offensive coordinator. We need a mix. John Morton was heavily involved in the passing game compared to the running game. So this is something I really do like that the Detroit Lions are bringing in Mike McDaniel. So I almost think I might prefer Mike McDaniel now over Cliff Kingsbury. But Cliff Kingsbury is still very intriguing to me. But I'm really torn on who I'd rather have right now. But if we get either of these two guys, I'd be ecstatic. I would really be ecstatic. Lions obviously now going to interview him tomorrow. We'll see how that goes. Don't know when he's interviewing with the Browns, Falcons, Titans, and Ravens for their jobs. I'm assuming this week at some, it's like Tom Pelissero said, this week at some point is when he will be interviewing for those jobs. So we'll see what happens there. Now, if Mike McDaniel obviously gets the opportunity to become a head coach somewhere else, he's most likely going to take that. And like he should. If I was an NFL team, I would not hire Mike McDaniel as a head coach again until he can prove he is a great offensive mind. And even that, I don't even know if I'd go hire him as an offensive coordinator again. I think he is meant in the NFL to be more of an offensive coordinator than a head coach. So we'll see what happens there. But Mike McDaniel interviewing with the Lions tomorrow. We knew that he's probably going to get an interview at some point. It was just a matter of when, and he will be interviewing with us tomorrow. So we'll see how that goes. One probably go Lions. Hopefully, somehow, we can lead him to Detroit. If not, Cliff Kingsbury, I'm still watching for you, man. I'm still watching.